To module number 4 of DivineSexy 101. And in this module, we're going to talk about chakras and the space-time continuum. Some of you are familiar with chakras and some of you aren't, so I'm just going to go through chakras in detail. Now, you could, if you wanted to understand the human energy system, really all you would need to do is study chakras, because it would give you such a bigger, more expansive view of what you really are. But I'm just going to give you sort of a brief overview here. All right, the word chakra is the Sanskrit word for wheel. I think I said that earlier. And in this belief system, there's little wheels of energy. There's 7 of them. There's actually more. There's some on your hands and feet, but we're just going to talk about the main 7. And they are they're wheels of energy, and they're related to emotional and mental issues, organ systems of the body, and spiritual and life issues. So that right there, I don't need to say anything else. If you can just get that concept, that your emotions and your mental state, and your organ systems and spiritual life issues, that's all you. It's not one is separate from the other. It's all together you. Okay. Now, usually when we see chakras in print, they look like little circles on the body. And so you can kind of get the impression it's just like a little circle of energy. It's like literally like a little wheel, but it's not. It's actually a vortex of energy. So, for instance, the crown chakra is up at the top of your head. It's like a huge vortex of energy. And they've done some tests on this. They've like registered how big the energy actually is. So if you can imagine them, so for the third eye chakra, it's really like a vortex shooting out like that, and really out the back as well. It's so the vortex of energy goes through you, out this way. Same thing with your throat chakra. Huge for women. It's big, going out, big vortex of energy going out in all different directions. Now, obviously, as you can see, my great artistry, you should very easily be able to see that. But anyway, so they're big vortexes all throughout your body. There's 7 chakras. So we're going to start at the first chakra and go up. Right, the first chakra is called the Root Chakra, and it's related to issues of it's related to the organs of elimination, and it's related to issues of security. The second chakra, which is the Sacral Chakra, this is your sex chakra. It's related to the reproductive organs, and it's also related to creativity. So what was interesting for me is when my sexuality awakened as I was continuing to write Penelope and the Divine, it was amazing how much more creative energy I had, and how many concepts I put together during that time and added them to the book. So it's all related. Sexuality is related to creation energy, to creativity. Mm-hmm. The third chakra is the solar plexus chakra. It's right around your solar plexus. It's related to the digestive organs, and it corresponds to issues of power. The fourth chakra is the heart chakra. And again, the heart chakra, some people say the heart chakra is the biggest chakra. The heart chakra is huge, so it's going out from your heart, all out both directions, front and back. And it's related to, no surprise, issues of love. The fifth chakra is the throat chakra. It's related to the thyroid, and it's related to issues of communication. So as I said, this is really big for women, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. And it's right here, the throat. Sixth chakra is the third eye chakra, which is right here between your eyes, between your eyebrows. It's related to intuition, and it's also related to the pineal gland, which secretes melatonin, and it affects your sleep cycles. The seventh chakra is the crown chakra. It's related to issues of spirituality, also related to the pituitary gland, which is the gland that secretes the hormones that maintain homeostasis in the body. So it's got a really big job here. So as you can see, if you're just talking about chakras, they encompass, my God, the entire aspect of who you are and how you operate in the world, and what affects you and how you deal with it. So let me give you an example of how chakras can affect you in your life. I learned something really fascinating as I was studying this. Two of the books that I read, The Male Brain and The Female Brain, are written by Dr. Luann Brizendine. And she talks about how the amygdala, in order for a woman to have orgasm, the amygdala, which is the center in the brain, needs to be relaxed. The way that the amygdala can be relaxed is if a woman feels safe and secure. Okay? So I thought this was very interesting because safety and security are first chakra issues. Here's what happens when most women approach a sexual situation. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about someone who's already married and in a long-term relationship or something like that where they do feel secure, hopefully. I'm talking about a new relationship or maybe someone that you don't know that well and you're deciding that you're going to sleep with, okay? What happens is that women tend to focus on pleasing the man, okay? Now, this isn't true in all cases, okay? I'm just basically giving you an example, but often women focus on pleasing the man, all right? So when a woman and a man are coming together and they don't know each other that well, if they're coming together sexually, no pun intended, when they're going to have sex and they don't know each other that well, women usually come from their second chakra, the sacral chakra, or for the sexual organs. In other words, they want to have sex. They have a sex drive. They are craving sex. They're coming from their sexuality. They want a man. They're going to use their sexuality to get the man. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, but they're coming from their second chakra. All right, or they're coming from their heart chakra, where they're a loving person and they're coming towards a man with love. And and this is when women confuse sex with love, which I did gazillion times because sex, well, I wasn't allowed to be sexy or have sex or be sexual, so I could only come from love. So I'm coming from love, and it's really just a sexual situation. And so I confuse sex with love, and that creates this whole other set of problems. And, some of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about because you've been through it. Okay, well, what's interesting is the chakra that women really need to be focused on when they're getting ready to have sex with someone that they don't know that well is the first chakra. Because when you, as I said earlier, I've never been one to just have casual sex with people, but I always thought that I was missing out on so much fun. So I would ask people, how do you do that? How do you do this one night stand thing? And what's the step-by-step process? Because I want to try it someday. And basically what they said is, it's not that great, Teresa. You're not missing out on so much. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because you seem like you're having a lot of fun. And they're like, it's not that great. So I thought, well, I wonder why that is. And in my novel, Penelope and the Divine, I wrote the two main characters, Penelope Quadangeli and her lover, Nate Forsyth, have this amazing cosmic sex. And when they make love, they literally shoot off into the cosmos. And they sort of lose consciousness, and they just swirl around the cosmos together. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was writing that story because I wanted to have an experience like that. I wanted to have an experience where I could completely lose myself in another person. Tantra talks about this. I'm talking about more of a spiritual type of sex, where I could just be transported into a different dimension, where I could lose myself completely in sexuality and sexual abandon. Well, I'd never had that, and so I was writing about it. I didn't realize at the time how much my soul was crying out for that because I was so ill at the time. And lo and behold, what healed me? Sexuality. I still thought that in order to get that, I had to either come from my sexuality or from my heart chakra, and neither one of these two things really got me anywhere. I still wasn't getting to that place. I wasn't even finding the right partner. And so when I read these two books, The Male Brain and The Female Brain, when she talks about the amygdala, I got it. It's a first chakra issue. If you're a woman and you want to have great sex and you want to have an orgasm with someone, because the other thing I found out, these people who are out there having one-night stands, most of them don't really have an orgasm. And I'm thinking, okay, well, it's got to be fun to just connect with someone sexually because it's nice, but it's not always easy to have an orgasm with someone that you just are sleeping with that you just met. I thought, that's interesting. Okay, so this is why. Because if you're sleeping with someone, as a woman, if you're sleeping with someone that you don't really know, you just met at a bar or whatever, you may tell yourself you feel safe enough to be there, but your brain knows different. Your amygdala is not relaxed. Your amygdala, like your fight and flight instincts are like, I don't know, I'm not feeling relaxed here, Fight and flight is the adrenals, but what I'm saying is your brain, your reptilian brain, your brain up there knows that you're not completely safe and secure, whatever that means for you. And so it's not going to be completely relaxed. If it's not going to be relaxed, you're not going to have that orgasm. You're not going to be able to release yourself into abandon. Now, what happens a lot is people take drugs and alcohol, and then they have sex with someone they don't know, and that tends to shut off the the brain signals. So again, that's one way where you can see the chakras at work in your life. And if you're up to doing more study on the chakras, there's tons of information out there. But as you can see how one little scenario affects you on so many different levels. So let's talk about the space-time continuum. I love this subject. It's so fascinating. It goes so far beyond time travel. And it's really affects the human body. Let me explain what that means. The human body can be affected by the past, obviously, because you can have traumatic events of the past affecting you here, whether emotionally or physically. That's a no-brainer. That's easy to understand. But consider that your body can also be held by your ancestral lineage. And what I'm talking about here is dead people. I'm talking about those who have gone before us. I understand this is a controversial idea, but just play with me for a minute, because I think it'll help open your mind to a greater degree to see exactly what the human energy system is. Most people accept the idea of intuition, but nobody really knows where it comes from. Now, most indigenous cultures have shaman. And just sort of an interesting side note, earlier I talked about High Priestess Stella, who is from the Siberian shamanic tradition. Well, Siberian shamanic tradition comes from Shambhala, which is basically the mystical land of Shambhala. Well, it's right there in Siberia of all crazy places. Who knew? And most shamanic lineages today can trace their roots back to Siberian shamanism. Isn't that fascinating? And it goes back, according to the Siberian shamans, 40,000 years, which kind of messes with your idea of civilization. But if you're into studying alternate history, which I am, it's so very cool. So dive in. I've got lots and lots of books for you to read. Just get in touch with me at headmistress@DivineSexySchool.com, and I'll give you some cool recommendations for books to read for alternative history. Okay, so getting back to the time-space continuum. All right, so a shaman is basically the medicine man or the healer of a culture or a tribe. So they have one of the things that the shaman has the ability to do is to go back into the past or go into alternate dimensions to heal himself and other members of the tribe and the community at large. Now, the Inca believe that time and space are one. And the shaman basically believes it's the same thing too, because he's traveling between different dimensions to get information to bring it back. He has that gift. That's sort of what makes him the shaman. Now, if you can just suspend your disbelief for a second and go along with this theory, then where does intuition come from? Perhaps you're being affected by past versions of yourself, whether or not you believe in past lives, past versions of, maybe it's your ancestors' energy focusing on you. There's many psychics out there who can talk to the dead. I mean, how do we really know? Where do you go when you die? What if you go to a different dimension? What if there's some sort of imprint left by your ancestry or by part of you in a past life that is affecting you in the present time in a wholly positive way, or possibly helping you? In other words, you have access to that intuition, whatever that is, to assist you, that makes that part of who you are. So if you have issues in the past, if you have a traumatic event in the past that's affecting you today, that's your past affecting you. If you believe that your ancestral lineage should somehow help you, I mean, American Indians believe that they can speak to their ancestors, and so do the Hawaiians, and so do many other cultures. So who are we to say that's right or wrong? A lot of what they do is based on information they receive from their ancestors. So if you open up your mind to think of that, of who you are and what you are in a grander sense, and realize you could have access to that information too, that can affect who you are in the present moment. Also, let's go back to what I talked about earlier, how your thoughts affect your reality. You are creating your future in this very moment by what you think. If you believe that life is good and good is going to come to you, and you continue to think it, remember, energy goes where attention flows. Whatever you're focused on is what you're going to get. So as you continue to focus on what's good and what's right and what your vision is, every step that you take forward is going to bring you back that aspect of what you're focusing on. If you focus on what's wrong, what's not working in your life, why is everybody mean to you, why are you not getting what you want, you're just going to keep getting the same thing. You're going to get it today, you're going to get it tomorrow, you're going to get it next week, you're going to get it farther into the future. Do you see how your thoughts today affect your future? So are you in your future, or are you in your present? Are you in your present? Are you in your past? What if you're in all three places at the same time? Because if you're focusing on something negative right now, you're creating your negative future. If you're focusing something positive right now, you're creating a positive future. Olympic athletes even do this. This is how much it's been proven. They visualize winning a race, whatever it is. And actually, they've done studies where, they hook the athletes up to monitors, and the body literally doesn't know a difference between what you're visualizing and what you're actually doing. The muscle memory, what's going on in your neurons, is exactly the same. So do you see how you're actually living your future in your present? And do you see how your past is affecting your present and therefore your future? So what is it? Where are you? Are you here in the present? Are you in the future? Are you in the past? Or are you at all three places at the same time? And what if you could go back to the past and heal a past event that is shaping who you are now? What if you could change it, a negative event? What if you could change it to positive? Imagine how that would affect you today. Well, there's a technique that I studied. It's called timeline therapy that does just that. In timeline therapy, there's something that we call significant emotional events. So here's a significant emotional event right here, let's say in your past. And that could be, it could be something as simple as a dog bit you when you were little and now you're terrified of dogs, to an extraordinarily traumatic event that's literally affecting your health in so many ways. And in a sense, there's really no difference because it all depends on your perception of it and how it's affecting you now in the present. And again, your present is also your future, okay? I love this stuff. Isn't this the coolest stuff? I just love talking about this. Okay, so you have a significant emotional event right here. And the how timeline therapy works is you put the subject or your client into a very light trance. It's just sort of you kind of get them relaxed and open to suggestion. And then you take them back into the past. And it doesn't matter whether or not you believe in past lives, okay? It's just you're speaking to the level of the unconscious mind and you're getting information from the unconscious mind. So you're asking the unconscious mind, when did this event happen? What was the first, for instance, we'll say we're talking about fear. So you want to clear a client's fear. So you ask them, what's the first event of fear that you had? And they'll tell you, and you go back to that. And the concept is you come back along the timeline and you view it, like I said earlier, from the God's eye view. So you're viewing it from a place of healing. You can either have your angels with you, or you can just be there looking down. You can have God, source energy, whatever with you if you believe in that. But anyway, you're now looking down at the event which is below you. And when you do that, you have, science has proven that memories are actually holographic. So in other words, they can tap into the brain. And let's say you have a memory when you're little and you see your mother walking up the stairs. Okay, that's your memory. Well, the science can now tap into your brain and access that memory and have you look at it to where now you're looking at it from a different point of view. So if you're the little person looking up at your mom this way, you can actually view that whole event from any angle. That's what your brain does. That's what's happening with your brain. Your brain is taking in so much information, but a lot of it is being filtered out, but the information is still there. So when we do timeline therapy, you can access this event, and the client will now see things from a different point of view. Remember earlier I talked about reframing, how you can look at things from a different point of view and suddenly they take on a whole new meaning. And so when you do that, you see that there are other things happening around that event, and it changes your perception of it. I cannot even tell you the most amazing. I've literally seen wrinkles disappear from someone's face before my eyes when I cleared anger, sadness, fear, and guilt with them. Because we're holding on to stuff. We're holding on to it. And we don't need to be. We're holding on to stuff from the past. What is the past? What is that? The past is the present is the same. We're holding on to these things that we don't need to hold on to, and they're affecting us now. So that's why it's so important to learn how to release emotion. And it's important to understand that you can release emotion. It's important to understand that your emotions affect your body so that you know that there's a way for you to release that and a way for you to live in a different way. You can choose the juicy life of your dreams. You can choose to live with pleasure and passion. This is exactly what I'm talking about. These are the step-by-step behind-the-scenes things that you can do to get you there. So even if you don't have a timeline therapy practitioner, just me telling you this, you having the understanding that maybe your past, what you perceive as your past, isn't really your past. Maybe it's something more than that. Just having that knowing can affect your present, which again affects your future. So just consider that. Consider how big you are and how vast you are and how much goes into the you that walks around this planet living the life that you live. Change it, make it better, make it different. It's all at your fingertips. All right, in module number 5, we're going to talk about hormones and some other cool stuff. So I'll see you on the other side.